But you knew that.
How did I know that? You because your whole premise about, oh, how long did so and so been together? They've known from the beginning that so and so didn't listen. That's not something that you know from the beginning. No, that's not. Welcome back to Commerce and Chill. I am Jessica Johnson Cope.
I'm Waleed.
And
we're back.
And we're so glad that you're here back with us.
Episode 33.
33 in the house. So we get a lot of questions throughout the week about business, about married life, about whatever it is that we do. And one of the questions was about leadership and how do you best give somebody advice when you're training? And that's a hard one, right? Because when people come to you and they tell you a situation, they often seem, and we've kind of talked about this before, they often seem like they want your advice. And many of us are inclined to, when they stop to breathe, to be like, okay, you need to do this, and this. Yes or no?
Yeah.
But I was listening to an audiobook, The Coaching Habit. Say less, ask more, and change the way you lead forever. I'm all about that changing the way you lead forever life. So I said, I got to get this audiobook. And one of the best pieces of advice I got out of that book was when someone comes to you asking you questions about their career, about their business, instead of following the first notion to give them advice, stop. And I tried it this week that passed. And it was amazing because I was really wanting to just say, oh, you got to do this, and this.
So the book says you should just stop and not give them the first one or anyone.
They say a whole lot of stuff in the book, so
clearly,
you got to read the book for yourself.
I clearly was not paying attention in the car when you were playing the book.
No, you weren't with me when I was listening to that book.
Oh. Or either I was.
I wasn't going to say that. You're a good co-pilot.
No, I'm not. I'll be out like a light.
You work hard. You deserve to rest, even if it's only in the car.
It's trying to make me feel good, but okay.
Anyway, so no, just don't be so quick to give advice, because often when you give advice, people aren't going to listen to what you say anyway. They're going to hear what they want to hear and not hear what you tell them. So it's better off to pause, let them think about it, and then you ask them a question. Well, what would you do in this situation? How do you think the best way to handle this is? Mm-hmm. And put it back on them so that they can communicate to you what their thought pattern is, what their potential approach is. And then from that point, that vantage point, you can better help guide or direct them to a plan of action or to something to execute. So I'm going to be mindful of that, especially as we have, as we offer impact ideas here on Commerce and Chill, like where the impulse might be, do this.
I'm so impulsing it, but yeah.
I might take a little bit of a different approach. And I've tried it with some of the team members here, and we had some really engaging conversations, and kind of was able to put up the mirror to let people think through what their approach would be, because then there's more ownership. Mm-hmm. And there's more accountability when somebody says, I think we should, or I think I should, as opposed to saying, well, you told me I should.
That is not my job. You don't do it right.
So it really guides what we'll talk about today, learning to lead.
Okay.
So Cope, give me an example of how you first learned to lead. Like, what was the first leadership opportunity that you can remember?
I don't know if it was a lead. Well, you say opportunity, like somebody gave me the opportunity, or just like when the moment arose.
When the moment arose, like, no, that sounds like that sounds like Cialis.
When the moment is right.
Not this show.
Cialis.
Not this show.
If a lazy moment turns into the right moment, will you be ready? Introducing Cialis.
So the first time
They're not a sponsor,
that you remember
and I don't use it either.
being a leader, the first time you remember taking the lead.
Well, I probably would say, wow, this was a minute ago, and it was at one of the stores. I realized, like, to truly lead, you have to let people kind of lead themselves. Upstairs, this is what we need done.
Yeah.
The content team, I'm like, this, and this. They have a calendar and a to-do list like Trello. Same thing, but it's a different platform. Everybody's name is somewhere, and it says this day, this time, down to the minute what they need to get done. And when it's not done, all the bells and whistles go off, and everybody's like, I'm not chasing them. I'm like, you do it or you don't. For us to grow to the next level, you can't be running around holding somebody's hand. People say delegate. You need to delegate stuff and all. But I don't want to say about it's delegation. It's about letting people come into their own and taking the responsibility and owning it. And then when I realized at one of the stores is the less that's going on with leadership, whether it's me or someone on a team internally being a leader, you can't scale. Right, that's because that's what it is. It becomes a daycare center. And then I'm paying you for me to watch you. I'm about to say, listen, everybody get up, get the and put 4 monitors on my desk, and I'll just sit here for 18 hours a day. Click, click. Hello? Yes. Huh? Wake up. Don't go to sleep at work anymore. Bye. Next person. Meeting. Like, it's crazy. Because we have to be consistent. So I was tied to everything that had to be done because it needed me to touch it, or it needed me to approve it, or something to look at, or to sign off on. So if I'm not leading people how to become leaders or allowing them to lead, sometimes like people are like, oh, like you see those cartoons or those illustrations where it's like a manager or a boss, and it's like the person is telling the team members what to do, and then then the next slide is like a leader, and then you see the person doing it with them. And I get it, but sometimes it's just about, from my perspective, is being a leader saying, here's what needs to be done. You coach, you train, or whatever it is, and then you just let the bird go. Like, it's like letting the bird fly out the nest. Like, just let them go. And if something goes wrong, you're there with them to coach them and correct it. But you gotta you just gotta let go. Or otherwise, you're not building a business. Mm-hmm. It goes back to, and somebody's gonna probably get tight with me, that whole thing where I talk about being a business owner and being self-employed. Because when I'm self-employed, I literally have to, I don't make the money unless I'm there. It's like the dentist who goes and does everything himself versus the dentist who has a practice, because then he's got a hygienist and he's got other dentists working with him. So he might still be doing some stuff, but if he takes the day off, somebody is still getting their teeth cleaned, so he generated revenue, or she generated revenue. He's got another dentist there doing, a root canal, or extracting a tooth, or doing a filling. So he's still making money, or she's making money, and she's not there. So to me, the learning to lead was learning to let people lead themselves, and then take the responsibility and accountability.
While you talk about the dental practice, I like that example. But what I like even more is that we have an awesome dental practice that we use. So when we talk about buy black, we talk about buy local, we talk about buy from people that you know, love, and like.
Shout outs.
Shout out to Smile Design Manhattan for keeping the pearly whites white and pearly. I've been going to Smile Design practice, almost since I moved back. So, shoot.
Don't look at me. I can't tell you how long.
Almost 15 years. And I've watched the practice grow. And there's an amazing team of hygienists, amazing team of dentists, and a special shout out to Lee Gauze, who is the dentist supreme who's leading the team there. So what's up, Lee? Gotta give you some love. So you talked about leadership. You know me, I'm a lover of words, so I'm always going to default.
Urban Dictionary.
I didn't go to Urban Dictionary, but I went to Merriam-Webster.
Okay.
And they have 3 very good definitions for lead. One is to guide on a way, especially by going in advance. Right? So I can't say to Mr. Hamlet, I want you to learn how to create a podcast if I haven't tried to learn how to podcast first.
You could. You just wouldn't be a practitioner.
I wouldn't be a good leader.
You would just be someone that tells people what to do.
The next definition is to direct the operations, activity, or performance to have charge of. So if I say I'm going to get up in the front of the room, I'm going to give the instructions, then that's an example of the definition of being a leader. I just need to know what I'm talking about.
That would help.
And then the other is to go through. I don't particularly like that definition, so we're just going to leave that at the back of the church. Before you can lead anyone else, you have to be able to lead yourself. You have to demonstrate to others what your values are, what your vision is, what your goals are, and then be able to communicate those things. And then when everything lines up, that's when people will begin to follow you.
So you lead them by example.
Leading by example.
It sounds like to me in that definition.
Yeah. Or what if you lead and nobody wants to follow you?
Well, the real question is, who's the true leader? And I think that's where people kind of get it twisted. Mm-hmm. And there's a study. It's called the first follower philosophy or study or whatever it's called. Google it. But if you think about it, who's really the true leader? Is it the person who starts this thing and they're out there and speaking about it like you're saying, and there's no followers, right? It's just that one person. Mm-hmm. Or is the true leader the first follower who sees the vision, believes in what that person is doing or putting out, and then follows them? Because that first follower gives some validity to what that leader or that person is trying to get people to buy into, which then causes other people to start following because they're like, oh, well, he or she started doing it. No, let me go. And then let me go. And then it becomes a chain reaction.
That's an interesting concept.
There's a video. I can't remember the name of it. If you Google it, and it's like a concert or something. There's one dude while the music is playing dancing. And he's not really dancing. He's just doing some real craziness. And he's like, I think they do it purposely to see how people react. And he's like doing it. And he's like doing all this. Like, it's totally crazy. Like, if this is, it's no way this is any kind of dance moves he was doing.
It's about them, plural. Notice how he's calling to his friends to join in. See, it takes guts to be a first follower. You stand out and you brave ridicule yourself.
One other random person goes and join him, and then they start doing it. And then because that first follower goes, you see another person kind of like look around and be like, well, and then they go. And then before you know it, it's a whole crowd of people around him doing the same crazy moves because that one person became the first follower, which led to the chain reaction of other people buying into it. So who's the real leader? Like, we look at, we have the business, we have businesses as business owners, and we're like, how do I reach all these people? Do you really need to reach that many people at one time? Hence why people are focusing on micro influences online, because they're like, if I target one person on social who has a good following or good community, whether they have 2,000 people, 500 people, or a couple 100,000 people, if I target that person to get that person to buy into my product, and then that person influences other people, then it's a win.
So when you talk about collaborating, it makes me think back to some of my early leadership opportunities. Okay. And those came in the most unlikely places at church.
Okay.
At school, and in after school activities, where just by virtue of working with other people, friends, colleagues, and you had to get things done, you would just step up and get done. In our church, they were kind of gangster when we talked about being voluntold.
Gangster.
In church, we often got voluntold.
Some churches are pretty gangster. I see that collection plate coming around. They give you them looks like, you better put something in there.
Pastor, I ain't got nothing to give this Sunday, but you got them new shoes.
It don't matter the size. God fit all sizes.
Yes,
Amen.
Pastor.
Amen. Amen, Pastor.
In churches where I got a lot of my early leadership experience on the junior usher board and on the choir. So shout out to all my church people for helping encourage me to be a better leader and by putting me on Front Street when I wasn't at my best. I still reflect on many of those experiences. And so as for you on the other side of the camera, on the other side of the microphone, you may not own a business. You may not be an executive where you work, but you have leadership experience. You have additional leadership potential. So think about what you've done in different organizations in which you participate and how you've helped that organization achieve success, achieve its desired results.
Whatever questions you have, identify them up front to understand if you need to make adjustments to your proposal and what you're offering, and to understand whether or not you can accommodate what they're asking of you. So make sure you identify those things in advance before you even send them the first set of numbers.
As the marketplace is changing, people want to know, again, as we always talk about, what value you can bring. And some recruiters, they don't want to think about it. They want you to connect the dots for them. And so when you say, I did this for this organization, as a result, we were able to do X, Y, Z, that helps to create an image that that recruiters, HR professionals, talent managers can better understand what your potential is. The same way as if you are a business owner and you're trying to grow your sales, you can reflect on your leadership in your business with your clients, with your team members, and paint the picture for how that prospective client, that person that's sitting across the table, can benefit from your leadership. So I led an organization of 20 people. We provided healthy meals to people throughout the Bronx. And as a result, we saw the number of hospitalizations decrease. So you can learn to lead, but start with the experiences that you've already had. What about leading in relationships, Chief?
Well, most people don't listen. They're just listening to you because they're prepping for what they want to say next, instead of truly listening to what's on your mind, which is why I always listen to you. And I say, honey, what do you want for dinner? And then you say what you want. And then in my mind, I'm like, I can't eat that, but I still go with you to support you. When you say you want a pastrami sandwich, I'm like, damn, I haven't had one of those in a long time. Or a burger. What are we getting for dinner tonight? Because now I'm hungry.
Now I'm hungry and I really want a burger.
Guess we're going to get burgers. I'm getting a veggie burger. So yeah, you lead by example. And you got to listen to people and truly hear what they want, because being a leader is less of, I believe it's, and I talk a lot, but I believe it's less about talking and more about listening and then acting on what your team members say. Even though some of it might be a little out of your comfort zone or something you weren't thinking of, because you need to empower the people on your team and trust them, because that might be the one thing that takes you or the team or whatever to the next level that you're working on. So if they say the person doesn't listen to them while they're talking, then they need to either figure out how to fix that in a relationship or move on, because that's who that person is.
Okay, I'm not going to agree with that, because
I don't do dishes. How often have I done dishes since we've been together?
you never do dishes.
I put them in the dishwasher. Let's be absolutely clear about that. But I hardly wash them. I hate washing dishes. I just hate it. I detest it. I bought dishwasher after dishwasher after dishwasher. I hate doing dishes. But I'll throw them in the dishwasher in a heartbeat. But you knew that.
How did I know that? You because your whole premise about, oh, how long did so and so been together? They've known from the beginning that so and so didn't listen. That's not something that you know from the beginning. No, that's not. So just like you don't know from the beginning if somebody's not listening, you don't know from the beginning if somebody doesn't like to do dishes.
So when did you find out I didn't like to do dishes?
When we started cooking. And when I say we started cooking, when I started cooking.
And you were there. How long was that after you knew me?
I don't know, but it wasn't immediately because you was taking me out.
But I just said,
or you was bringing me food.
Right, because we were both working late and stuff. But I just said in the beginning, the person is listening to them, and then later on they're like, so whatever that time frame is, they discovered somewhere down the line that person would stop listening to them, or was never really listening to them. It was just pretending to listen to them.
I don't agree with that.
Okay, we agree to disagree.
We agree to disagree.
I have no problem with that.
Well, if we're talking about learning to lead, I encourage you that if you find yourself zoning out with your significant other, to try to refocus on what they're saying and to be a better listener so that you can
Why are you looking at me like that when you say it?
What, do you want me to look at Hamlet? So that you can be a better listener
I thought
and
you
you
were trying to give
can
me some
lead
clues.
in love to make your relationship stronger.
Amen.
And as a side note, within the relationship, you have to take turns leading.
Absolutely.
So if you are learning to lead and want to be a better leader, either in business or in your relationships, here are some things that you consider. First of all, write down 3 questions that you have about your leadership style, your leadership experience, and about your leadership goals. Then know that there are a lot of training resources out there to help you be a better leader. There are different organizations that train you and groom you, or it's like they take the rock and chisel out, chisel away the rough spots in your leadership style and make you a better leader. Most cities have a leadership, whatever, like Leadership Dallas, Leadership Chicago. That's a big deal. Application process. You can look into that, Google that. Or you can just go online. There are different TED Talks about leadership. There are different books at the library. Shout out to online audiobooks if you want to get some of those.
What, that free audio one from the library?
Yes.
The Overdrive or something
Yes,
you use?
that's one of my favorites.
Free audiobooks from the library?
Listen to audiobooks on leadership. And then when you listen to the book or read a book, you don't necessarily have to read cover to cover, but listen for one takeaway that you can implement that same day, that same week, and then put it into practice. And once you get that up, you can either go back, finish reading the book, or go get another book and find another nugget that you can implement to get better. You can work with your peers, right? You talk about mastermind groups.
Yeah, come on. Don't mention that around me.
You can leverage a group of peers who are either in the same industry, the same business, went to the same school, and you can help strengthen each other's leadership abilities. I didn't say anything about giving money or.
Okay, I'm not going there.
But we learn a lot from the people that are closest to us.
Right, good or bad.
Good or bad. And then lastly, I would encourage you to ask a mentor, an advisor for feedback on your leadership skills, and ask them to
or the people you lead.
Or the people you lead.
They could probably tell you better than your mentor. Your mentor will be, oh yeah, blah blah blah. But ask some of the people for candid
feedback
from the people you lead, and like make them feel secure. Like no matter what you tell me, like you won't get fired. And they'll be like, oh yeah, you're an idiot. It's like last week you did this, and then you say you swallow really hard and be like, okay, and you go fix it. And then the next time that question comes up, or the next time something goes on, they're like, wow, like they're a true leader because they took the feedback and adjusted, and they respected my opinion.
I think that's a much better suggestion than one I had. So
yeah, I'm just here to help.
No, you're not. You're here to lead.
Nope, you lead.
We lead together.
No, you lead. What would you like for dinner?
Jimbo's cheeseburger.
Guess we're going to Jimbo's.
Thank you for stopping by for the latest episode of Commerce and Chill. If you missed any episodes, subscribe. Go back and watch old episodes. Hit us up. Let us know what you think. We really appreciate your time and you're joining us today, and hope that this helps you on your path to learning to lead. In closing, I am Jessica Johnson Cole.
I'm Waleed.
And it's been great. See you soon. Peace.
Later.